again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D Deep Dive, the show where we dive deep into classes, subclasses, and other features of 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons to help you get the most out of your choices. So, today, we are going to be continuing with the new options presented for the Ranger in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And this one is just going to focus on the new Primal Companion optional feature because just by changing this thing, the Primal Companion feature replaces the Ranger's Companion in the Beastmaster Ranger subclass, or archetype is what they're called. We're going to be talking about the new Primal Companion, but we're basically going to be going over the entire Beastmaster Ranger archetype, because just this one change massively changes how everything else in this subclass works. But because in the original subclass, every subsequent ability that you got for your Beastmaster Ranger modified their companion in some way. So just by changing the first thing, it changed everything else and made the Beastmaster Ranger significantly more useful, and I think significantly more fun to play. At the, I guess you could call it at the cost of maybe a connection between the Ranger and their companion, but we'll get into that. So before we get into the Primal Companion, let's talk about what Ranger's Companion used to be. So the way Ranger's Companion worked is at 3rd level, you got to choose a beast companion that accompanied you on your adventures. The beast could be no larger than medium and had to have a challenge rating of 1/4 or lower. I think I'm actually looking at... You know what I'm going to do here? I've got so much stuff just in the way here. All right. Welcome to Jody rearranging things. I think they've changed things on the D&D Beyond app, so I'm actually going to go into my player's handbook because I want to get what it actually said, because this is already using stuff like your proficiency bonus, which is not a thing that they did in the original PHB almost, I think, at all. All right. No, actually, it is. It's right in here. So, yeah, cool. So just checking that to make sure. So, basically, you got this companion at the 3rd level. It was actually a beast from the monster manual, or when the player's handbook first came out, there was no monster manual. So in the back of the player's handbook, there are a few Appendix D is creature statistics, and so that's where most Rangers got their companions from, was from Appendix D in the player's handbook. However, once the Monster Manual came out, and then other things like Xanathar's and Volo's Guide to Monsters, and even the various adventures, if they had a new stat block for a beast that was challenge rating 1/4 or lower, theoretically a Ranger could take that as their companion. Now, I mentioned before when I was talking about the new summon spells, is that the new summon spells are no longer taking pre-built monsters from like the monster manual and just giving you control over them. They actually have specific stat blocks for those summon spells. And the reason that's a big deal is monsters, as they're designed in 5th edition, are not designed to exist for more than one encounter. Like monsters themselves are designed to last one encounter and then never be used again. So anytime you take a monster's stat block and have to stretch its use beyond just a single encounter to multiple encounters over a day or through an entire campaign, you're going to run into issues because the monster's designed to just go all out and then die. And that's not what a ranger's companion is supposed to do. So they had to do some pretty massive changes to make it any of these things work. Um, uh, they specifically would mention that if your beast companion had multi attack, you couldn't use the multi attack, and yeah. Overall, the big defining feature of the Ranger's companion was unless you used your action to tell it to do something, the only thing your companion could do was dodge, which was not useful, and it really didn't fit the idea of having a companion that you fight with, because this basically made you choose between you attacking or the beast attacking. Now, as you got higher levels, you could get it to where you could sacrifice one of your attacks to have your beast attack, but it still felt like you had to kind of choose between you doing something or your beast doing something, but you really weren't working together. Um, Combine that with the fact that the hit points are not great. The AC generally tended to be pretty bad. The hit points were either the maximum hit points that your based on the hit dice of your beast, which is next to nothing, or 4 times your ranger level. So maximum at level to 20, a companion could have 40 hit points, which wasn't great because they generally didn't have great saves and things like that. Like they were just a massive liability. And so Wizards of the Coast have been trying to find a way to make the Beastmaster Ranger, because that is a classic Ranger concept. Drizzt, one of the most popular Rangers in the Forgotten Realms, because of Ari Salvatore's books, has a companion, a panther named Guinevere, and he would fight, with his panther. Now, he had a limitation where he could only have his panther there for a set amount of time because she was a figurine of wondrous power. But even going back to, I think 3rd edition might have been where you first started getting companions. Your companion was a full-blown character that fought alongside you. So yeah, the Beastmaster Ranger just wasn't fun in 5th edition. Now, with the new Primal Companion, you get it at the 3rd level. This changes things quite a bit. First of all, there's 3 different companions you can choose from. So you're not looking for stat block of a monster. You actually have 3 stat blocks specifically designed for your companion. When you summon it, you can when you get the feature at 3rd level, you just summon it, and then anytime you finish a long rest, you can actually summon a different. They call them primal beasts, because instead of being an animal that they tamed or something, this is actually like a spirit that is kind of coalesced from nature itself to join you. So because you can change it at a long rest, some of the kind of bond you might see between Rangers and their Beast companions. Like if you've ever watched the first series of Critical Role, um, Vexalia, the character played by Laura Bailey, was a Beastmaster Ranger, mostly because they transferred from Pathfinder, which is effectively D&D the 3.5 with some extra stuff in it. They went from Pathfinder to 5th edition, and in Pathfinder, Beastmaster Rangers are a really solid competitive class. And Matt had to do a lot of stuff to make it so that Trinket, her beast companion, or her bear, could still be useful in general. And even that didn't really do that much. Towards the end of the campaign, Trinket just did nothing. But Laura herself and Vexalia were super, super attached to Trinket, as was most of the rest of the cast. And they would get worried whenever he'd get hurt and everything like that. Like, it was this big, big thing. The fact that it's just a spirit that kind of coalesces could make it a little bit more difficult to have that kind of bond with it. But if you look at Caleb from the second Critical Role campaign, played by Liam O'Brien, his familiar changes on a random basis, and he just considers it the same character in different forms. So if you want to have that really close bond with a beast, I would say go towards that direction of, you're not really summoning a new primal beast or a different primal beast. You're changing its form, but the actual spirit of the animal stays the same. So that's the first thing, is there's 3 different ones. They have different stat blocks. And they use their proficiency bonus in a number of places. The armor class, for all of them, is 13 plus your proficiency bonus. So by the time you get to, I think it's 17, when you have a plus 6 proficiency bonus, their armor class is 18, which is decent in 5th edition. It's effectively, they're wearing plate mail. Their hit points are 5 plus 5 times your ranger level. So that makes them significantly have more hit points. You can have up to 105 at level to 20 instead of just 80. I know 25 doesn't seem like that much, but it is, especially at higher levels. And then everything else about them is different for the most part. They will have different walking speeds. Some of them will have different kind of movement speeds. Their actual attributes can be different. And then each of them will have kind of defining features for that particular version of it, and will kind of dictate how that companion is supposed to be played. So, yes, that's the first change. You have those. In combat, the big difference, it can move and use its reaction on its own, but the only action it can take is the dodge action, very similar to the Ranger's companion. The difference being, with the Primal Companion, you can use your bonus action on your turn to command it to take another action. That action can be one in its stat blocks, which is where all of its attacks are, or it can be some other action. So literally any action a normal character could take, like disengage, the dodge. You can already do the help action, all those things. You can use your bonus action to have your beast companion or your primal companion to do that. You can also sacrifice one of your attacks when you take the attack action to command the beast to take the attack action. And if you're incapacitated, the beast can take any action of its choice, not just to dodge. So if you're unconscious, the beast becomes a full-fledged character. Another big difference between the Ranger Companion and the Primal Companion. And then the rest of Primal Companion is like how you can resurrect it if you need to. It talks about summoning a different primal beast. and that the beast vanishes if you actually did die because it's connected to you. Let's real quick talk about the actual beast companions themselves and what techniques and tactics they kind of exemplify. As I said before, there are three different kinds of beast. You have the beast of the land, you have the beast of the sea, and the beast of the sky. They're pretty self-explanatory. Because they are just called beast of the land, you can make them look whatever way you want. They even mention in here, you also determine the kind of animal the beast is, choosing a kind appropriate for this as a stat block. Whatever kind you choose, the beast bears primal markings indicating its mystical origin. So, the beast of the land is going to be a land-based beast, a bear, a panther, a wolf. There's really no limitation as far as it moves on land. So if you want it to be, a large snake, or you want it to be, a scorpion or something like that, you can make it look however you want. Now, just because it's a scorpion doesn't mean it can sting or anything like that. It's still going to be limited to the abilities that are built in here. However, flavor text is a thing, and so if you want it to be a scorpion, as much as it won't be able to do poison damage, you can like reskin the charge feature, so that instead of like knocking it over, the two pincers pick it up and throw it down or something like that, or your tail comes and flips it or something. So there's a lot of customizability in there, so you can really feel special and have a unique beast other than everyone using a bear or a wolf or something like that. The first big difference for the beast of the land is it has a climbing speed. So the speed of the beast of the land is 40 feet, and it has like a climbing speed of 40 feet, which is a pretty big thing. I've talked before about how climbing speeds can be incredibly useful. It means you don't have to make athletic checks in order to climb. It can turn a normally 2D combat arena into a 3-dimensional one, and especially because of the charge mechanic built into the beast of the land, you can actually get really creative with how you use this climbing speed. It's got 60 feet of the dark vision. It's got a passive perception of 12. And its challenge rating is equal to your proficiency bonus, which doesn't really matter that much, but whatever. The defining features of the Beast of the Land is the charge feature, which is if the beast moves at least 20 feet straight towards a target and then hits it with a maul attack, which we'll go over maul in a second here, on the same turn, the target takes an extra 1d6 slashing damage. And if the target is a creature, it must succeed on a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be knocked prone. This is another thing that you're seeing a lot in Tasha's is Rangers really didn't use their wisdom score that much. All their spells are wisdom based, but there were so few spells that actually used your spell save DC. And again, PHB Ranger, most of their spell casting was using Hunter's Mark. That was what you had to do. So you really didn't use your spell save that much. Most Rangers would max out their decks. They would generally have like a 14 wisdom, which is what they would start with in the game, and that would be it. They would never get any higher. And this is actually really incentivizing Rangers to build up their spellcasting ability score, because that ability to knock up target prone is really useful. We've talked about the prone condition before. It's great for action economy manipulation. Specifically, to get up from prone, it takes half your movement, so it's going to slow down whatever creature. While they're prone, all their attacks have disadvantage, and any any melee attacks made against them within 5 feet have advantage, which is really nice. That makes the Beast of the Land actually a really good companion for a melee ranger. I mentioned this a lot in the previous Ranger video. Melee rangers got dealt a really bad hand in 5th edition. Almost all the spells are really made for bow rangers. The Beastmaster archetype itself was really built for bow rangers, because you would have to use your bonus action to get your you would eventually have to use your bonus action to get your beast to do anything. So this one actually makes a pretty good companion for a melee ranger because of this knock prone thing. What would happen is you use your bonus action to send your beast in first to knock it prone, and then you can attack twice. Or as once you have the extra attack action, or as you find out in this anyways, if you to get extra attack, you can replace one of your attacks with your beast attacking. So you could take the attack action, but send your beast in as one of your attacks first, then take your attack, take your bonus action offhand attack, and you're being able to fight with your beast companion, doing a fair amount of damage, since all of you will be rolling with advantage after that first attack hits and it gets knocked prone. It also means if you want the beast to back off again, so it can charge the next turn, if the creature tries to take an opportunity attack against it, it's going to be doing it with a disadvantage. So definitely use the charge feature a lot. It is one of the defining features of the Beast of the Land. The Maul action is their melee weapon attack. It uses your spell attack modifier to hit. So again, improving your wisdom score is going to improve the to hit for your Beastmaster, which I think is really interesting. It's basically dexterity will be all of your attacks, wisdom will be all of your beast attacks. So it actually makes you have to choose between do I want to improve dex, do I want to improve wisdom, because they're both going to have benefits now, as opposed to previously where it was just really just improved the dexterity, and if you can't find a feat that you like, I guess you can do something with wisdom. So yeah, use your spell attack modifier to hit, and on a hit it does a d8 plus 2 plus your proficiency point slashing damage. So yeah, the Beast of the Land is what most of the old Ranger companions were. Yeah, it's really good. When we get into the other class features, it gets even more useful. But yeah, if we go to the Beast of the Sea, the Beast of the Sea is going to be the companion that you probably use the least, because its speed is 5 feet. But it has a swimming speed of 60 feet. So if you are doing underwater fighting, which again we already talked about how with the new Ranger optional features, you can actually have a Ranger that basically specializes in underwater combat because of that first Deft is it Deft Explorer, I think is what it's called, the one that it replaces in a Natural Explorer. This really does mean that if you know you're that day you're going to be going underwater, which if you're going to be going underwater and having combat underwater, you're probably going to know about it before you go in. So that day you can have your Beast of the Sea, and the defining feature of the Beast of the Sea is it's amphibious. It can breathe both air and water. So that doesn't really change much. But the difference is the attack. The attack for the Beast of the Sea is Binding Strike. Still use your spell attack modifier. Still has a reach of 5 feet. It does a d6 plus 2 plus your proficiency bonus, piercing or bludgeoning damage. You get to choose, depending on the beast of this C you create. However, whenever you hit, the target gets grappled. Now, a lot of people confuse the restrained condition and the grappled condition. Grappled simply means the target does not have a movement speed. Their movement speed is reduced to 0, and that's it. So, that doesn't sound like a really amazing thing, but when you factor in the idea that most of your party is going to be moving at half speed under water, unless they have freedom of movement or something like that, and most of the monsters and creatures you're going to fight underwater are going to have swim speeds, this can be incredibly useful because it reduces the monster's ability to get close enough to actually hurt you guys. There aren't a lot of ranged creatures underwater. They're all melee because ranged attacks are really hard to make. So with this being an underwater creature, the ability to grapple the target is really, really good. Now, the limitation on that is while the target's grappled, your beast companion can't attack any other targets. But you're probably not going to be using it that often to the point where, or what I mean is, you're not going to be switching targets often. You're kind of going to focus fire if you're underwater. Yeah. Having a creature that instead of having to make an ability check or something like that, you just get to insta grapple can be really, really useful, especially since the Beast of the Sea has a swim speed of 60 feet. So when it's grappled, when you're grappling to target, you can move it with you at half speed, which means underwater, this beast can still move 30 feet with whatever creature it has grappled. And the only thing it has to do to grapple it is succeed on the attack roll. The escape DC from the grapple is your spell save DC. So if they want to get out, they have to burn an action and make either a strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics check that beats your spell save DC to break out of it. So not only is this good for preventing the creature from moving, but you can control the field with this. It's very much a controller kind of thing underwater. Which means if you do have a character like a paladin on the team that just can't really move underwater, you can effectively use your Beast of the Sea to bring the bad guys to the paladin or the barbarian or whoever is really good at close range combat just can't move underwater. So as much as I think the Beast of the Sea is going to be the least used creature, I definitely see it having a lot of uses in any sort of water-based campaign or any time that you are going to be going underwater, which, like I said in my last video, is a really cool thing. So the last new beast is the Beast of the Sky. Now, this one is a little bit different. It's a small beast instead of medium. The hit points are actually 4 plus 4 times your ranger level, and it only has a D6 as its hit die, where the other ones had a D8. However, it's got a speed of 10 feet, but a fly speed of 60 feet. And everyone in 5th edition loves fly speeds because, again, it turns anything into the three-dimensional. This is effectively like your hawk companion or something like that. It's still got this is 60 feet of dark vision, passive perception of 12. The defining feature of the Beast of the Sky is the flyby ability, which is the beast doesn't provoke opportunity attacks when it flies out of an enemy's reach. So the attack it does is called Shred. still uses your spell attack modifier to hit, and it does 1d4 plus 3 plus the proficiency bonus. This is slashing damage, so it does a little less damage than the other ones. But the reason this beast has less hit points into the things like that is this is the ultimate hit and run style beast, where it flies in, does an attack, flies out. And for melee targets, they never get a chance to actually attack it. This can be an exceptionally good creature when fighting enemies, spellcasters, because it can fly directly into the enemies. It can fly past every single one of the enemies protecting the caster without getting any opportunity attacks, make its attack, fly out of the way. And it can force it to force the caster to make concentration checks. Or it can just harass the caster itself over and over. Doing things like, if it's casting ranged spells with a spell attack roll, if you have someone within 5 feet of you and you make a ranged attack roll, the attack is made with disadvantage. So the Beast of Sky can be a wonderful kind of harassing companion. And who doesn't want to have, their own little falcon or eagle or something? But definitely if you're using the Beast of the Sky, especially if you're going up against casters, it's not a bad idea to have your Beast of the Sky instead of your Beast of the Land, because as much as the Beast of the Land can knock prone, with the fact that a lot of spells use saving throws, it's not going to be as effective as having your Beast of the Sky be able to go in directly. Beast of the Sky also can work Bow Ranger or Melee Ranger. You just kind of have to pick how you want to use it. So those are the actual changes. Now, let's go to the stuff that doesn't happen, which is basically everything after 3rd level in the Beastmaster archetype. So at 7th level, you get what's called Exceptional Training, which does 2 things. On any of your turns, when your Beast Companion doesn't attack, you can use your bonus action to command the beast to take the dash, disengage, or help action on its turn. That doesn't matter anymore because the Primal Companion, you can already do that right from level 3. So that doesn't matter. However, in addition, the beast attacks now count as magical for the purpose of overcoming resistance and immunity to non-magical attacks and damage. So your beast, your Primal Companion now does magic damage, which actually is really useful because there's a lot of creatures that are resistant to non-magical bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing. So that is something. It's not quite as big a leap as it used to be, but it's still something. 11th level is where the Beastmaster Rangers with the new Primal Companion starts getting really powerful. At 11th level, you get Beastial Fury, which is when you command your Beast Companion to take the attack action, the beast can make 2 attacks or can take the multi-attack action if it has that action. Now, none of the new stat blocks have multi-attack, but they can just make their attacks twice. And because you can replace one of your attacks with one of your Beastmaster's attacks, you now have the ability to make 2 attacks for the price of 1, effectively meaning the Ranger should be using their companion's attacks every turn, because it's just more damage than you can do on your own, unless you have a really fancy magic item, or you're doing things like sharpshooter shots where you can do a ton of damage extra. Other than that, you actually have a really big incentive to use your Beast Companion a lot. For Melee Rangers, again, if you combine this with the Beast of the Land, he charges in, does the maul attack, knocks him prone. Takes his second attack with advantage. You come in, make 2 more attacks, whether you used your bonus action for the beast to attack or you used one of your attack actions. So you have effectively just made 4 attacks in that to turn as a melee ranger. And if you really wanted to, you could replace the extra attack you would normally get with your bonus action and one of the attacks you get with your regular attack action to make the beast make 4 attacks effectively, because it's attacking twice. From everything I'm reading here, I don't see anything that says you can't use your bonus action to command it to make it a attack action, and then use one of your attacks to do that as well. The only thing I'm reading here is you do still have to make one attack yourself. But it does make your Beast Companion significantly more useful. Especially since now you're getting extra attacks from it. 15th level, you get Share Spells, which your mileage will vary. When you cast a spell targeting yourself, you can also affect your Beast Companion with a spell if it's within the 30 feet of you. For the Ranger, as far as the spells that have a range of self, not a ton of them are going to be super useful for your Beastmaster companion. Now, one thing that is kind of interesting, Pass Without a Trace is a range of self. So theoretically, if you cast Pass Without a Trace, you can have both you and your Beastmaster companion each exuding a 30-foot radius aura of stealth, which can be super useful. Beyond that, like again, most of the self spells just really aren't that useful. They do have things like Ensnaring Strike. Effectively, the next time you hit a creature with a weapon attack, it gets bound. You theoretically could use Ensnaring Strike on both your attack and on the beast attack, seeing as you could use your bonus action for Ensnaring Strike. You could make your attack, and then your second attack would go to your beast, and both of you could get a chance to do that. And then things like Zephyr Strike will give you extra damage, and sort of as your companion. So mostly that's what I'm seeing here is probably things like Zephyr Strike and Ensnaring Strike would become really useful. Whereas right now, especially with the fact that they're both concentration spells and you need concentration for your Hunter's Mark. Yeah, it should just, you actually have a choice between those two. The other thing, your Hunter's Mark is not going to trigger on your Beastmaster companion's attacks, so that's another thing you'll want to weigh as far as how often you're making your beast attack. So that is the new Beastmaster Ranger with the new Primal Companion. I think this goes a really final thoughts. I think this goes a really long way to fixing a lot of the issues with the Beastmaster Ranger. The biggest of which being your companion in general was more of a hindrance than a help. It was always just a liability. It could never do a lot of damage. You had to sacrifice most of your good abilities to make it do anything. I like that the new Primal Companions add a little bit of a variety, but still allow a lot of customization, so you can personalize it. All of their abilities have their uses. Whereas again, for a Beastmaster Ranger, a lot of the abilities are just not going to be very useful. Yeah, and then combining it with the other things. The only thing I would like to see um, is something in here that lets you either use um, favored foe, the optional class feature that replaces favorite enemy. If you could get it, if there was something in the thing that would allow that to trigger for both you and your companion, that would make it significantly more useful and would, again, give you incentive to actually play the Beastmaster. Or have something that allows the Hunter's Mark damage to trigger on your beast attacks rather than just yours. Though that could become broken very, very quickly. So that would require some play testing. But overall, I like this. I think it's a good way to try and fix the Beastmaster Ranger. It's still not great. I think it would have been better if they had replaced the entire class instead of just the Primal Companion. But because the entire class was based off of Ranger's or subclass was based off of Ranger's Companion, it does kind of make sense that changing that changed the entire subclass. So it's okay. I think it could have been better. But if I have someone playing a Ranger in any of my campaigns, I will highly recommend to them to use Primal Companion over Ranger's Companion because it is just a superior version of the ability. Anyway, as always, if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. It lets me know you liked it. It lets YouTube know you like it so they can let other people see it so they may like it. And also hit the subscribe button because, as I've said many times before, now that Tasha's is out, I'm going to be pumping out a lot of content specifically about Tasha's as much as my health will allow. So definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that when I post these at weird odd hours, you're not going to miss them. And in the comments below, I would like to know what companion, what shape or type would you choose for your personal Beast of the Land, your personal Beast of the Sea, and your personal Beast of the Sky. And remember, get creative with it. Just because Beast of the Sky seems like a raptor of some kind doesn't mean that you can't make yours look like a flump. They specifically said, customize as much as you want. You're not going to change the stats. So what crazy companions would you like to have with your Ranger? Anyway, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time, all right? Bye-bye!